Hello, good morning and welcome to The United Stand. This is your Manchester United Transfer News Daily where we give you all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. And we're live. Instead of doing it at 7 AM UK time, we're live at midday UK time because I was up with some of you lot very late last night watching Manchester United versus Club America. So we're doing a live one, so smash that like button, get involved. Nice to be doing it live. Lots to discuss as well. Going to talk about Pogba in a minute. He's not leaving. But first of all, just a little bit of breaking news. AC Milan have had their Europa League ban uplifted in relation to the financial fair play sanctions. So looks like AC Milan are out of trouble there. We suspected that would be the case. And if that is the case with AC Milan, then they will be able to play in the Europa League. Simple as that, won't it? And that means that they will not be selling Bonucci, which is another thing which is of great interest to people. So no Bonucci means no Bonucci coming to Manchester United. So very, very quickly on that one. But let's talk about Paul Pogba. What's the situation with Paul Pogba? Well, I hear a lot of things that Paul Pogba may leave Manchester United, and it is total and utter nonsense. It's not going to happen. Where is it coming from? Well, look, the situation with Paul Pogba is that we had Pep Guardiola talking about him, we've had Real Madrid, PSG, obviously the Manchester City with Pep, and now we're getting a little bit from Barcelona. And the reality is Barcelona are probably going to sign somebody in their midfield because Paulinho has left after 1 year to go back to China. So they need a midfielder to come in, and there's a lot of secrecy about who that midfielder is going to be for Barcelona. And I think Paul Pogba would fit Barcelona very, very well. Eric Abidal, who's French, formerly played at Barcelona, he's now the director of football there. He's got a good relationship with Pogba. They do get on really well, and he made comments about him in 2015 when we signed him, being a good signing for Barcelona. £150 million probably would get that deal done. That's probably what his value is. But Manchester United will not sell Paul Pogba. We're not going to sell him. So the issue here is Mino Raiola. I mean, he's clearly going round offering Pogba out because there's so many rumours going out there. And I think when Pep Guardiola says publicly that he was offered him by Mino Raiola, that creates all sort of legal issues if that's not true. So there's an issue between Mourinho and Pogba, and Mino Raiola is definitely, obviously, trying to get the best for his clients. So that I think is a reality. And Mourinho and Pogba clearly don't get on. That's a reality as well. But there's a big difference between that and Manchester United selling Paul Pogba. And we're not going to sell Paul Pogba. We've got 3 weeks today. We're playing Leicester City. 3 weeks until this transfer window closes. And losing somebody like Paul Pogba now would be catastrophic to our season. We're trying to do other things in this transfer market without losing a player that's one of our better players. If we lost Paul Pogba now, we'd have to replace Paul Pogba, and there's nobody really in the market to do that. I don't think Milinkovic-Savic replaces Paul Pogba. I wanted him to come in and play with Pogba. So it's not going to happen. And most of all, Manchester United would not do this twice. We let Pogba go embarrassingly once, and we had to spend £90 million to get him back. To let him go again would just be ridiculous. I mean, Manchester United may be many things in the transfer market, but we're not totally stupid. And that would be totally stupid to let Paul Pogba go. And also, you're being dictated to by a player who only came in 2 years ago, world record fee for us. And he may have done it for France, but has Paul Pogba really given the best of Paul Pogba to Manchester United yet? No, he hasn't. So there is a responsibility on him to do that as well. Does he want that on his career? Does he want the Di Maria effect where you come to Manchester United and you flop? He has to give it another year. In a year's time, maybe he will move on if he can't reconcile his differences with Jose Mourinho. But as of now, Manchester United will not be selling Paul Pogba, and Paul Pogba will not be pushing for a move. It would be nice if Pogba came out and said, I'm staying at Manchester United, this is where I want to be, and maybe he will do that in the next couple of weeks. But I certainly can't see him coming out and forcing a deal. Maybe an offer will come in from Barcelona. Maybe Barcelona will be aggressive about this and say, there's £150 million, we want Paul Pogba. Maybe that will happen. But Manchester United will not sell. We don't need to sell Paul Pogba. We don't really have a replacement for Paul Pogba in place either. So, and he's just been one of the best players in the world. So be stupid. If we've got aspirations to win titles, you've got to keep a player like that. So it's not going to happen. I think people are trying to speculate and churn it up to be like glamorous and, sensationalist. But the reality is, Paul Pogba's not leaving Manchester United this summer. No way. Never in a million years. And I always think when I say those words, I can almost see a little meme in a month's time when he leaves. But the reality is, he's not going anywhere. And if we were to sell him, then the club's finished, because you can't sell a player like that. He's not replaceable at this moment in time, and there's no time for that deal to be done anyway. So, and the positives are that Pogba will be here next season. De Gea is staying, which is great. Lukaku's coming back, and obviously we're going to hopefully get some business done ourselves in the next couple of weeks. A lot of people talking about Chong, a lot of people talking about the match last night. I don't know whether you stayed up to watch it. We had a watch along last night. We're doing a watch along for every US tour game. I think the next one is Sunday at 10 o'clock, so more reasonable hour if you're based in Europe. But we were up watching it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a little bit like United last season, the way we played, but we'll talk more about that on the 8 o'clock show, and players that I think need to be moved on and players who need more time, and Mourinho's miserable attitude. But we'll talk about that at 8 o'clock. The reality is it was the first pre-season game. It was nice to see us playing again, and there were some positives from it. So we'll talk about it a little bit later. But I don't, these people are saying Mourinho out after, if you were Mourinho out before, that's fine, but you can't be Mourinho out because of a game against Club America, our first pre-season game, I don't believe. But let's talk about Marquinhos, who plays for PSG. Centre-back, obviously we are wanting a centre-back. 24, I think he is now. Went as part of the Brazilian World Cup squad, but couldn't get in because they had Miranda and Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva plays with him at PSG. There's talk that, he's on a contract till 2022. He's 6 foot. He can play right-back, centre defensive midfield, but his primary position is centre-back. He's very quick. He reads the game well, and he's good on the ball. But he's playing in He's playing in Paris for PSG. Paris United is where this has come from, who are a Twitter account stroke website, but they're very accurate when it comes to PSG stuff. And the talk is that it might be a stretch too far for him to go this summer, but maybe next summer. But his agent is looking around at what's available, and Manchester United have been mentioned. Again, if we're going to sign a centre-back, to me it's looking like two players now. It's looking a bit like Maguire, which I think is a bit far-fetched, and Alderweireld, which again I think is going to be very, very difficult to do. Beyond that, I don't know what we're looking at, because Bonucci is now going to stay at AC Milan. Marquinhos would be good. I'd like him at Manchester United, but is he that sort of leader? I don't know. I don't know whether he is that sort of leader that we would need at Manchester United. Timo Scudder says Marquinhos is bang average. Daniel Jones says there's nothing in the rumours. Well, mate, look, you can believe what you want to be, but Paris United are quite accurate when it comes to PSG. At the end of the day, it's my job and our job to feed in the transfer news. We've never had this disclaimer that everything we mention on the shows is going to happen. Otherwise, we'd have wasted the last 3 years doing transfer shows. We feed out the story for you, the fans, to discuss with us. That's what we're doing. And if you don't think there's anything in it, that's fine. I personally would agree with you. I don't think Marquinhos will be coming to Manchester United. I don't think he's the centre-back we need anyway. I think we need a leader. Eric Bailly last night was at fault for the goal, and I thought he had a good game, but he was at fault for the goal. And that, in Mourinho's eyes, will be the only thing he walks away with from that game. As soon as he made that mistake, I was like, everything good Bailly's done in this game, Mourinho's going to look at that, and that's going to be the reason he doesn't play him at the start of the season. Despite the fact that Phil Jones makes mistakes galore and still gets picked and costs his FA Cup finals, Bailly will be down the list again now because he made one mistake. I want to see Bailly and Lindelof as our centre-backs, but I'm not so sure that that's going to happen. I still think, Smalling is still very highly rated by Jose. We are worried. Are you worried about Martial leaving, says Pankaj? For anybody who watched the game last night, Martial went off with a slight knock, but it's nothing to be worried about. He's not injured. He played as a number 9. He played in the Lukaku position, and I don't like Martial as a forward. I think he wants to be a centre forward. I've heard that before, but he's better on the left wing, and that's where Martial should be playing for Manchester United. This number 9 thing, I think, is an effort by Mourinho and an effort by the club to make him stay for another year. But he's always going to be understudy for Lukaku, who plays every week, and Lukaku very rarely gets subbed or rested. So Martial occupying that position, I think it's a bad thing for 2 reasons. 1, he'll never get picked. And 2, I don't think he's a very good number 9 anyway. I know he thinks he is, and Martial's probably one of my favourite players at Manchester United. But I don't rate him as a number 9, I never have. And this will create a debate now in the live comments, it really will. But we'll come back to that in a moment. But the reality is, Martial didn't play particularly well last night, but it's a pre-season game. I don't want to dig anybody out for having bad games, but I just don't. There was a few positional things I didn't like last night. One of them was Martial up front. It just doesn't work for me. And yeah, he was smiling a bit and this, that and the other, but I still don't see how we're over the issue that his agent mentioned a month ago that he wants to leave the club. I'm sure he loves the club, I'm sure he loves the players, he loves the fans, but I still don't see that issue that his agent brought up, that he needs to be playing regular football at Manchester United. I don't see that being solved anytime soon, so I don't know what's going to happen with Martial, and I still have this concern that he will leave. MMA News says Dimitri Mitchell looked lively. He was lively for the first 15 minutes, and then United did what they normally do, which is not get the ball forward to the front three. So they were sort of starved of possession, Martial and Mitchell and Mata. But when he got the ball in the first 10 minutes, Luke Shaw and Mitchell looked quite good for the first 10 minutes. Martial's one of our best finishers, Billy T. Yeah, but you know, your Gary Linekers and your Darren Bents and your good finishers, you've got to have more than that now, because you stand up against two experienced centre-backs. They'll rough you up, they'll keep tight to you, and how are you going to get, you know, if you handed 3 good chances a game, being a finisher's great. Gary Lineker was brilliant at it, but Gary Lineker in the modern game wouldn't be that good. He'd just get marshalled out by 2 decent centre-backs. You've got to have more about you. You've got to have the ability to hold the ball up. You've got to make the intelligent runs. You've got to spin and things like that. And I don't see enough from that Martial from that as a number 9 at the moment. And he's certainly not going to dislodge Lukaku. We're talking about transfers. We've been linked to Lewandowski. Never going to happen, because he's never going to dislodge Lukaku. So why would you waste the money? To talk about a few other players, Rebic is being touted around Europe. I don't think Manchester United are in for him, but just interestingly. And Willian apparently wants to leave Chelsea to go somewhere warmer. So he ain't going to come to Manchester, is he? Because it ain't warmer than London in Manchester. Just watch this space with Willian. I still really do believe that Manchester United, if they can't do the deals they want to do, will look at getting Willian. But Willian and Barcelona seems to be a good fit at the moment. And a lot of people would be happy with that. I personally do not think that... David Choi, I've just done you a little favour there. Try and comment, see what happens. Chong in Pereira to be our break. Leon Bailey, I've watched him many times, his basic channel. Well, look, in relation to Heath Chong, he played really well last night. But what I would say is this. Mourinho basically came out and said that he's physically not ready, which is nonsense. Ryan Giggs was playing 30-odd games at 18. Lee Sharp, 18, 30-odd games. Ronaldo, pretty much the same age, 20-odd games. And that was 10, 20 years ago for some of those players. And the Premier League is far more comforting to wingers now than it was when Giggs and Sharp were around. Far more physical game there. Now, people mix up physicality and fitness here. I saw somebody on Twitter trying to get into an argument with us, saying, what an idiot. Oh, the game's much more physical now than it was then. They just clearly don't understand the point that Jose's making and what we're making in response to it. Jose's talking about Heath Chong's physicality, his build, and he is a little bit slim. But Ryan Giggs was slim, Lee Sharp was skinny, Ronaldo was skinny, and they played in a game that was far more physical. And physical is not fitness. The game is far more, you know, you've got to be a lot fitter in the game now, but physicality... You had to be more physical probably 20 years ago than you do now, because you didn't get as much protection from the referees. So if Ryan Giggs, Lee Sharp and Ronaldo can be playing games in their late teens, then Tahith Chong can be as well. He's a winger. Look at Neymar. He's a streak of piss, isn't he, at the end of the day? He gets knocked over, he gets free kicks. If Tahith Chong is playing for Manchester United next season, yes, he's got to bilk out more, but are we going to wait till he's 22? Or are we going to actually do what most people do with young wingers and play them in their teens and give them game time? That's where I'm against Jose on this. This is where Jose goes wrong throughout his whole career in relation to youth. He consistently doesn't pick youth. He consistently doesn't pick them till they're like ready, they're formed. You know, same with transfers. Leon Bailey would be a great signing, but he's a development player. He would rather get Willian, who you just drop straight into the team. I haven't got to do a lot of work with him. That's Jose's approach. But in relation to youth, we've got some great youth players coming through. Gomez, Chong, Roshan, people like that, who, yeah, but Sir Alex Ferguson and Pochettino and people like that would play them in the team and allow them to develop in the team. But Jose's talking about, oh, they're not physically ready yet. By the time they're physically ready, they could be 21, 22 and missed out on 2 or 3 years of development in the first team. And actually, a lot of your physicality comes from playing games. You know, you throw somebody in like a Ryan Giggs when he was a teenager, and his first few games, he was getting knocked off the ball, but you learn from that. You can't wait to be pumped up before you play your debut. He wants the ball, he wants to play. Yes, he's going to get fouled, of course he is, but let him learn that in the first team, and that frustrates me about Jose, because when he talks about physicality, he's totally talking about his build. which is a nonsense. It's been proved time and time again at Manchester United that, you know, people like Luke Chadwick, they never went on to be good players because they weren't good enough, but they were given opportunities as young wingers to go and play for Manchester United, and we've always done that. Get him involved in the first team with Chong. He's got the natural ability to do it. Get him involved. Of course, physically he's not going to be great, but it's not like we've got the best front three, the most consistent front three in the world, have we? Our front three has been pretty inconsistent. So throwing a kid in there who might have a good game, a bad game, what's wrong with that? And the buyback you'll get from the fans would be immense. He just doesn't seem to figure them sort of things out. But yeah, I would give him some game time. I would have given him some game time last season. I think he's totally ready. McTominay, says Dwayne Carter. Look, McTominay needs a loan move. I still don't quite get what McTominay's going to be all about at Manchester United. I want him to do well because he's come through the youth setup. It was only a pre-season game yesterday, but a player is a player. You can see the scope for their fitness to improve. But McTominay, he's too slow on the ball. He's a little bit slow anyway. His tackling's not great. He's obviously very tall and physical, but in a midfield where most midfielders now have got a lot of guile and flair, he gets bypassed quite a lot. He looks like he doesn't look as slow as a Matic or Fellaini, but he doesn't look anywhere near quick enough. I think he's crying out for a loan move. I think McTominay, we're not going to be able to give him the games in the first team anyway. So loan him off to someone like Derby County in the Championship and get him playing 30 games next season. What McTominay needs is 30 games next season, first team football. We can't offer him that. And this is not digging out McTominay. I'm not convinced he's going to make it at Manchester United. I'm not. But for him to make it at Manchester United, he's got to go and do what Pereira did at Granada. He's got to go and do what Beckham did years ago at Preston. He's got to go and play 30 games a season, and we can't offer him that. So get out on loan to a Championship club. I don't think we're going to loan him because I think Jose's quite happy to give him a Carabao Cup game here, half an hour there. But he needs to consistently play games. That's what youth players need. They need to play consistent football week in, week out, because that's where they learn. They're not going to learn doing flickerbouts and keepy-ups with the first team in training where everyone's playing at 70% because they don't want to get injured. You've got to go and play against top players. So that's what I want to see for him. Gomez did come on last night, but it was literally 5 minutes, MUFC OK. Hardly touched the ball at all. Would like to have seen him get a little bit on that. Red Devils fan says Scott is a decent centre defensive midfielder. Yeah, we played Pereira in that position yesterday and then had Herrera and McTominay further ahead. That really frustrated me because Pereira's so good on the ball and he had a good game, but I would have swapped him in the second half for McTominay or Herrera. Let McTominay or Herrera run the midfield and Pereira further forward would have brought people like Martial into the game more. But again, the midfield was the problem yesterday. Bale is fooling United, says Ali Saha. Well, yeah, let's bring it back to the transfers. Nothing around Manchester United today. None of the credible sources even touching on us doing any business. This week has probably been the quietest, hasn't it? It really has been very quiet around transfer news for Manchester United. And you can tell that by the fact that 2 of the headlines for the show are players already at the club. Are they going to leave? And that's a massive sign why we can't let them go, because we can't even get players in we need. If we lose Pogba and Martial, how would we replace them when we can't even bring players in that we need at the moment? I mean, the Sandro deal is a worry. Darmian is going to go to Juventus. Does that mean Sandro comes the other way? Fingers crossed it does. But if it doesn't, is he going to PSG? Where does that leave us? Well, we've trimmed the squad a bit. We've made a little bit of money, but I mean, the reality is, if Darmian goes, our net spend is down below 50 million quid. Where's the rest? I thought we've got at least 150 million. Where is the rest? Very, very quiet. Shravin just wants to talk about Luke Shaw. Look, I want to be absolutely blunt here. Luke Shaw is not going to dislodge Ashley Young. Luke Shaw yesterday did okay, but he didn't do anything that's going to make Mourinho think I'm playing him ahead of Ashley Young. Our only hope at left-back is Alexandro being signed. Otherwise, it's another season of Ashley Young. I already think, unless we sign a centre-back, we're looking at least Smalling or Jones starting as our centre-back. So there's a lot of weaknesses in that back four straight away. Valencia's obviously going to play and be captain. Mourinho confirming that. So the back four is not improving. Yet Jose says you need a strong back four to improve the midfield and the defence and the attack. But I don't see much improvement in the way of the defence. I mean, Timo says that Shaw's bang average. His performance yesterday was quite average. But it's the first game of the pre-season. You can't really jump on people. I mean, like I say, a lot of people say McTominay was crap last night. The reality is it's the first game of the pre-season. What I would agree with on McTominay is that we should be moving him out for a loan. I think he needs a loan because he needs 30. We need to find out whether he's going to be good enough, and he needs 30 games. Pereira's gone and done that. I think Pereira now needs to be involved with the Manchester United first team. He showed enough for me over the years that he's ready. Give him the opportunity. Let's see what he can do. Interestingly enough, there's a comment here from Ursulan Yousaf saying Pereira was on fire last night. I had to laugh at Manchester Evening News player ratings. They had 7 out of 10 for Smalling, 6 out of 10 for Pereira. I don't think these people got up to watch it, did they? They clearly didn't. We obviously did. We did the watch along. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. We are live again at 8 o'clock tonight. The bottom line is Paul Pogba will not leave Manchester United. Do not fall into this sensationalist rubbish that's going to start over the next few weeks and is already starting around our fan base that Pogba really could go. As I said, in a sentence, Abdel's the sporting director, he gets on with Pogba. Barcelona need to replace Paulinho, and Raiola goes around talking to a lot of clubs and was in Barcelona about a week ago. So people are putting 2 and 2 together and they're getting 4, when the reality is Paul Pogba won't leave Manchester United because Manchester United will not allow it to happen. We're not going to let him go. He's not going anywhere and he shouldn't be allowed to go. So don't believe it, don't get worried. I'm sure there'll be some paper talk about it over the next few weeks because that's how things go, but he ain't leaving Manchester United. No way, Pedro. And also in relation to transfer news, it's gone very, very quiet at the moment. But maybe this weekend we'll sort something out. I don't know. But I did say United rarely sign anybody on the US tour. We rarely do. And we need to change that. Stepney says Martial will leave. I still think Martial might leave. And that's because of who's going to come in. But let's see what happens with that. I hope not. I hope not. But the player that we're looking to bring in will surely mean Martial leaving because he won't get game time. Thanks everyone for watching. 8 o'clock tonight, we'll be talking about Mourinho, his comments, the rest of the season, the pre-season tour. So join us live at 8 o'clock. Sorry, it wasn't Transfer Daily at 7 a.m, but I was up till 5 a.m. doing the watch along with a lot of you lot and the match reaction. If you haven't seen the match reaction to the Club America game, go through this channel. It's only 10 minutes. A thorough, comprehensive roundup of the game if you didn't see it. Well worth a watch. And I'll speak to you later at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button and I'll speak to you all soon.